Hello students, so in this video we are going to perform the other remaining practicals of looping statements. So in previous videos of part 1 and part 2 of this chapters practicals, we have performed some basic level programs of loops in which I have used for loop and while loop. Now these programs are basically some intermediate to advanced level programs. So this is the practical list that we are going to perform. Some of the practical I have already uploaded as a lecture, so I am not going to cover that in this chapter, in this video, but you can see the aim as it is part of our practical list. So in today's video I am going to perform this 4 practicals basically. Like I am not going to do the reverse of a number because I have already done that, but this 4 practical we are going to do. So let me go to my IDE and try to run this program. So let me open my new file. Inside my new file I am doing multi-line comments. So first program is all about write a program to find factorial of a given number. So how do we find factorial? If you know that, suppose I want to find, say, factorial of 5, then what I am doing, I am starting with 5 and gradually decrementing it by one value until it reaches to 1. I hope you know the equation of factorials. So what is the factorial of, say, 4? Factorial of, say, 4 is nothing, starting with 4 and multiplying it to each of its remaining values, right? 4, 3, 2, 1. So this is how I can find a factorial. So what is the repeated value over here? Either you can, if the way you have done summation of these numbers, you can do multiplication of these numbers as well. So this program is nothing but a little modification in the program that we have done in part 1 of these videos, in which I have done sum of first and or first k numbers, right? So if you know the logic of that program, you don't need to go further in this video for seeing the solution of this video or this practical. You can just do it by yourself. But for those students who does not understand, can continue with this practical. So first I am writing with stdio.h, then int main, then inside this I am writing return 0, right? Now what I need, the number whose factorial I want to find, that number will be entered by user. So I am writing enter the value of n, right? Now user will be able to enter a value by using function, input function scanf. Here I am doing and n. So many students are doing some mistakes by placing spaces in here. So you cannot place any space while using one integer or two variables, right? So if you are using 2 variables like this, it is okay. This is correct statement. Suppose here it is, say, A and B. This is the correct statement for scanf, but some students are doing, say, here they are giving space in between the D and double inverted quotes. So this is wrong. It will let you enter for 3 values at a time. Okay, so this is incorrect. I just remembered this mistake of one student, so I am just clarifying it right now. Now you can take value of n from user by using this statements. Now I can use any loops, but I am using for loop. So starting with, now there are two ways. I am going to show you both of these ways. Either I can start I with n. So whatever's value entered by user will be first assigned to value of I. Until the value of I is greater than 0, I will be decremented by using decrement operator. But okay, and now instead of sum equal to sum plus I, what I am doing? Mul equal to mul into I, because every time I am multiplying the value of I, right? But what is the issue over here? Here, if I am declaring mul, then I cannot initialize mul at 0. Why I cannot initialize mul at 0? Because at first, if multiplication with any number with multiplication of any number with 0 will give me result 0. So first, when i's value is n, when it is multiplied by 0, the entire value will be 0. So we have to use the identity element for multiplication, like by multiplying which number I can get the similar number. So that's why I am initializing mul with 1. Now it will not print anything on the screen. Why? Because I have not used printf. So here I can write factorial of percentage d is percentage d, and here I can use say n, and here it will be mul. Okay, now semicolon at the end. Let me save this program, and if I compile it and run it, what is an issue? I was not declared, so either you can write int over here, or also you can write int I over here. There is no issue. So let me compile the program and run it. You can see it is asking me to enter a value of 5, and I know that 5 into 4 is equal to 20, 20 into 3 is equal to 60, 60 into 2 is equal to 120. So the factorial of 5 is nothing but 120. So it is giving me correct answer. Now this may happen that whenever you are executing this value for a larger number, say 88. So what will be the factorial? 88 into 87 into 86, like so on up to 1. So it will not give me correct answer. It may happen. It is giving me 0. You can see why it is happening, because my buffer is full. So it may sometimes happen that you have taken the result, the multiplication as integer, and the result which comes after this equation is having larger value that can be held by a simple integer. So at that time you can use long integer as well, so that it can hold a larger value. Like if you have done the program earlier, summation of two numbers, and if you are adding very large integer numbers, say 7 or 8 digits, then it may happen that it is giving me wrong answer because of the range of integer. Okay, so this is the concept I just want to clear. Now which is the other way to perform this program? Either I can also start I with 1 and go up to I is less than or equal to, okay, I is less than or equal to, and every time I am making I incremented by one value. Even if I am doing this code, compile it, save it, compile it and run it, you can see after entering 12 I am getting correct answer. So this is how you can perform a program to find factorial of a given number. So this is done now. Right. Now what is the second program? Second practical is all about write a program to generate Fibonacci sequence. Now to write any program, first I must know that what is this Fibonacci sequence. So those students who are not aware about this sequence, I want to tell you that Fibonacci sequence is nothing but the values 1, 1, 2, 3, then 5, then 8, then can anyone guess what will be the next number? Right? So if you can guess the next number correctly, that means you understand the logic. Now let me tell you the secret behind this. Basically not a secret, but the logic behind Fibonacci sequence is it is adding first two digits and getting the third third sequence number, right? So 1 plus 1 2, then 1 plus 2 3, then 2 plus 3 5, then 5 plus 3 plus 5 8, and so on. So now you can easily get the next number, that is 30, because 5 plus 8 is 30. So what program I want to write? I want to write a program where user is entering one number. Suppose user is entering that print first 5 Fibonacci numbers. So what are these 5 numbers? 1, 1, 2, 3, 5. Right? Suppose user is entering the print first 6 Fibonacci numbers. So what are these numbers? 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8. Because they are first 6 Fibonacci numbers. So how I can print this number? So let me first write a program which will print first 5 Fibonacci sequence. So for that I have to take one iterative variable. I am taking int I equal to starting with, I can either start it with 1 or 0. There is no restriction, because in this logic I am not going to use value of variable I. In some programs we are going to use the value of variable I. At that time initialization matters, but when in some program when we are not using value of I, we are just using it to count the number of iteration. At that time we don't need we don't care about the initial value. So right now I can be 1 also or 0 also or any other value also. I is iterating for 5 times because I want first 5 Fibonacci numbers. That's why I am writing I less than or equal to 5, and here I am writing I plus. Now what can I do? So what I am doing? Suppose I am initializing one variable a equal to 0. Initially A's value is 0 and b equal to 1. So I am assuming that some variable is there named as a, which is having value 0 initially, and this b is nothing but this, right? So initial value of b is 1. Now what am I doing? Every time I am adding a plus b, which is 1, and printing this value. I hope you guys are understanding. So what I am doing, a plus b and printing this value. In next iteration I am assigning this value to a. So now my a become 1, b become this value to this b. So this b become 1 and this a plus b become 1 plus 1, that is 2. I hope you guys are understanding this. So here it is something like this. Now let me show you again. Now this b's value I am assigning to a. So the new value of the reset value of b is assigned to new value of a. So now a become 1, b become this, I am assigning this value to b. So b become 2 and a plus b become 3. Let me do it for last time. So a become 2, b become 3 and a plus b become say 5. So if you don't understand how I have derived it, you can write the values of a starting with 0, 1, 1, 2. Then what you are doing, you are assigning, you can do a cross. So you are assigning b's value to new value of a. So what you are doing, every time you are assigning this value to this value to this, and this value to this. Every time you are assigning b's value to a's value, and every time you are for b's value you are assigning this value to this value to this. I hope you can find a pattern. This is the pattern to find the logic. So now what I am doing, I am initializing two variables a equal to 0 and b equal to 1, right? Now I am also taking one variable c, which will store the result of a and b. So I am not every time I am not going to write a plus b, I am just writing c. You can eliminate this variable. Now inside this, in looping, what is happening? First I am going to do c equal to a plus b. So first I am going to find right now, forgot this, right now what is the value of a? 0. What is the value of b? 1. So here it will be 0 plus 1, that is 1. So c equal to 1 in this iteration. Now I am going to print this one. You can that you are going to print value of B. You are going to print value of B. So you can also do first printf, because what sequence I want 1 1 1 1 2 3. Here A's value will be 0 1 1 2, which is not correct. B's value will be 1 1 2 3, which is correct Fibonacci sequence. C's value will be 1 2 3 5, which is not correct. So I want to print B's value only every time. So here I am writing printf %d, and I am writing this kind of thing, and here I am printing value of B. So first, what will be printed? Print B's current value is 1, so 1 will be printed. Then I am going to add, so C will be 1, and here what I am going to do? I am assigning B's current value, that is B's value is 1 to A's value. So now previously A was 0, but now after A equal to B, A become 1. So my A become 1 now, and here B become C, because I am assigning value of C to B. I hope you understand this concept. So B was previously 1, now B equal to C. Here C is also 1, so B is 1. So this will be done after first iteration. So at this point, I will increment to 2, A equal to 1, B equal to 1, and C equal to 1. This is the scenario after iteration 1. Now I become 2, 2 is less than or equal to 5. So 5, it will go inside the loop. Now it will print B. But what is the current value of B at this moment? At this moment, we will consider this value, right? So B is 1. So again it will print 1. Again it will print 1. So what it is printing? First it print 1. Then again it is printing 1. Right? This is how you can, see the output. So again it is printing 1. Now here it is doing A plus B. What is A right now? 1. What is B right now? 1. So it is doing 1 plus 1, that is 2. So C become 2 now. So C become 2 now. Right? Now previously A was 1, because here A was 1. Now A become B's value. What is B's value right now? 1. So A become 1 itself. Right? Now what is being done? Here B was previously 1. B was previously 1, but now it is assigned value of C. So it will become 2. Right? So this is the final value. Now A become 1, B become 2, and C is still 2. Right? So after this iteration, this will be the final values. Now 3 is less than or equal to 5. Yes, it is less than or equal to 5. So it will print B. What is the current value of B? 2. So here it will print 2. So what will be printed? 2 is printed. Then here what is being done? Erase everything. C equal to A plus B, that is 1 plus 2. Hence C equal to 3. So now my C become 3. So if you are doing a code like this by analyzing, then it will be less probability to have any error. So I hope you can do it by yourself and check the values after each iteration. Then only you will be able to understand the logic behind looping, how exactly looping works and what should be the logic. Right now many of the students are thinking maybe that why ma'am is doing it without giving so much time to find the logic, and why I cannot imagine this logic. It happens at the beginning, but if you are practicing this code, now your homework program is without using, you can use this logic, but by interchanging the places, can you still get the answer? Check this by yourself by trying to use some different lines or logic or alternative lines. So this is your homework program. So if you are doing that kind of programs, you will be able to understand this program very easily. Now let me just save this program, compile it and run it. You can see 1, 1, 2, 3, 5 is printed. So now if I want to take value from user by asking value of and, what can I do? I can just simply write printf, enter the value of n, right? So here user will be able to enter scanf %d here and n, and what will be the change in loop? Instead of this 5 I am writing n over here. So now if I just save it, compile it and run it, it is first asking me to print which first number, first 10 numbers. I am saying it's 7, so it is printing 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 30. So these are the 7 Fibonacci numbers. So this is the program for Fibonacci sequence. Now we are going to, in next videos we are going to learn a concept called functions and recursions. At that time we are going to use this logic. So if you don't understand, please repeat this video again and try to understand the logic that I have used here. You can write it in your pen or using pen and paper and check how exactly this logic is implemented. So this is how the program or practical 2 was. So this is completed. Now the third practical is write a C program to reverse a number. So this practical I have already covered in separate lecture because this practical is really very important. The logic that I have used in this practical is really very important. So if you have not understand this practical, then please go to that video and watch the logic again, because the rest of this practicals are based on the logic which is used in this practical, right? So let me write this entire program of reverse a number, and then I will tell you that how you can perform fourth practical based on the logic used in third practical. So I am not going to explain third practical in this video, but I am going to show you that how you can implement the fourth practical if you have correctly implemented the third practical. So let's see that. Okay. So what exactly the logic of reverse? Let me write the logic first. So here int n to take a number which should be reversed. Then what I am going to take? Int remainder. For remainder I am taking r, and for rev I am taking the reverse of a number, in which I am going to store a reverse of a number. Then what I am going to printf, enter the reverse, enter the number which should be reversed. Here scanf, save %d and n, right? Then I am writing while n greater than 0, I am doing r equal to remainder equal to n modulo 10, then reverse equal to reverse into 10 plus r. I have already explained the logic, so I am not going to explain it right now, that why I have written over here. And also I have initialized reverse to 0. If you have not watched that video, please go and watch that video again. If you don't understand, repeat the video, but try to understand the logic. And then I am doing n equal to n divided by 10, right? So this is the code, and then after that, at the end I am going to printf the reverse of a given number is %d. Here rev will be printed. Okay, so here rev will be printed. Here I am writing /n. Let me save the program. Just check me. Let me check it once to check if it is giving me correct. So for 2, 3, 4, 6, I am getting 6, 4, 3, 2. So the program is correct. Now how can I perform this fourth practical based on this third practical? So fourth practical is saying calculate the sum of digits. So if I have entered 1, 2, 3, then instead of printing 3, 2, 1, it should print the sum of digits is 6. So how you can do that? So what we are doing at this point, if user is entering 1, 2, 3 over here it will check if 1, 2, 3 greater than 0. Yes, it is greater than 0. So at this point in first iteration, what will be the remainder? Remainder will be the last value, because when I am dividing 1, 2, 3 with 10, it will give me remainder 3. So R will be 3. Then here let me just skip this step for now. Here I am doing n equal to 1, 2, 3 divided by 10 as n is integer. So now my n become 12. And I am doing this repeated process for now n become 12 for this 12. So what I am doing, every time I am adding, first I am adding this reminders. Every time I am adding reminders because in second iteration it will be for n equal to 12. Here for second iteration n equal to 12, right? So here n equal to 12 and 12 is greater than 0, so condition is true. So here it will come and 12 divided by 10, that means gives me remainder 2, and here I am adding this 2 to previous remainder, and here now I am become 12 by 10, that is 1.12, but I am not going to use that. So now my n become n equal to 1. For this 1, it will again check if n equal to 1, then if 1 is greater than 0, yes it is greater than 0, so it will do 1 divided by 10, and I have always tell you that if the number we are dividing is greater than the number on which we are performing division, then the modulo will be the number itself. So if I am dividing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 with 10, then the modulo will be the number itself. So here r will be 1. So which equation should be here so that I can always add this? So if I just eliminate this, just think about this. If I am just eliminating this 10 and writing this statement, and instead of the sum of digits of a given number is, if I am writing this code, compile it and run it and entering 1, 2, 3, you can see it is giving me correct answer. So for making it more convenient, you can use some variable here also, and here also, and here also. So now if you perform this program again, 1, 2, 3, it is giving me 6. So this is how you can implement the program of sum of digits on the basis of this third practical. So if you have understand the logic of this third practical, then it will be very easy for you to perform this program and the next program that we are going to perform. So it is okay for this part. This is part 1. In part 2 I am going to explain the rest of the practicals. So stay tuned with me. If you have any doubt, you can comment below the comment section and ask me. I will reply there. See you in the next class. Thank you so much.